Thank you very much for joining the live stream or for watching the recording. Today's topic is about how much in advance you should start preparing your Czech visa or residence permit application or their extensions. In Move to Prague, we've been on the market helping expats for almost 13 years now, and we have worked with around 18,000 people. So I decided to share what we found out and all the knowledge and experience we have with you today. I will divide this live stream or this video into a couple topics, let's say. First part will be about first applications. What it means is basically that you don't have any valid visa or residence permit in the Czech Republic, and you will be submitting the first application for your first visa or residence permit. There are different subtypes there, mainly two, and then they divide into a couple more subtypes as well. So I'll cover all that. The second part will be about extensions, because the rules there are different, and mainly the main difference there is that you are submitting the extension already in the Czech Republic. So there are some differences I will also talk about today. So let's dive right into it. Thank you very much all for joining, guys. Nice to see you here. So first scenario, it's your first application and you will be applying through a Czech embassy. So there are two types or two possibilities, let's say. First, that you're applying in the country of origin, which applies to most nationalities that cannot come to the Czech Republic without a visa. So for example, most of Asian countries like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, China, of course, basically most of the countries in that region and most African countries, people from these countries are not allowed to come to the Czech Republic even for one single day without having a visa. So that will be the first part, our first subtopic. Second is about the people who can come to the Czech Republic or the Schengen area in general for up to 90 days without a visa, visa-free stay. So that's typically Americans, Australians, Canadians, and around 45 other nationalities. So the processes are a bit different there, and I will touch both. So first, if you are applying in the country of your origin, so let's say you're an Indian or a Filipino or whoever in that region or Africa, and you want to apply for a Czech visa or a residence permit. So your application must be submitted through the Czech embassy in the country of your origin. So if you're from India, you can only submit the application in India at the Czech Republic embassy in New Delhi. If you're from South Africa, you can only submit your application in Pretoria at the Czech embassy in Pretoria. And now that's on one hand, it gets a bit more complicated because there are big differences between how easy or complicated it is to get an appointment, because for some types of residence permits, at some embassies you cannot get appointment at all because there are quotas and the quotas might be zero, so you will never get an appointment. So it makes no sense to even start preparing the application because you will be never able to submit the application. But let's take an example of students. So if you're a student from India, student from the Philippines, student from South Africa, then you need to keep in mind that the whole visa approval process, that means after you submit your application, officially can take 60 days. Usually it takes even longer. And for some other visa types, like family reunification, it can be up to 90 days. For business visa, it can be up to 120 days, 4 months. So that's only the official approval time. Sometimes the ministry approves the visas faster, but that's definitely not a rule, like 100%. Sometimes it takes them even way longer than the official time. But if we stick to the official rules, assuming the ministry will stick to it as well, yeah, I will not comment on that. So if you stick to that, so let's say you're applying for a student visa, the ministry has 60 days to make the decision. So you should not submit your application later than 60 days before your school starts. So let's say if your school starts on the 1st of October The latest you should submit your application would be September, August, 1st of August. If you submit it later, chances are you will not get the result in time, and that can potentially lead to serious consequences like you getting denied or having to postpone your plans and all that. So that applies to generally all visa types. So at least the official approval time of the ministry, you should submit the application enough in advance to cover the whole period. Now, you need to take into consideration that in some countries it might be very difficult to get an appointment, and you might not be able to get an appointment for a month or two, let's say. Some people are getting appointments 6 months or not getting appointments for 6 months. So again, if we take, let's say, a month or let's say 2 months, just to be super safe that you will get an appointment. So that's already 2 months plus the official approval period. So that's, let's say, 4 months. And then before that, you need to have some time to prepare all the documents. And that would be around, let's say, another 2 months. That can vary depending on your nationality and other details of your case. But generally another 2 months to just prepare everything, then 2 months to get an appointment, and then 2 months to be approved after submitting the application. So it's a total of 6 months. So if you want to come to school starting 1st of October, you should submit, or you should start your visa process March, the latest. Ideally even sooner. If you start January, February, and you're coming here in September, October, that's the perfect timing. A lot of people now still get in touch with me. Hey, I submitted my application 30 days ago or 45 days ago, or I've just submitted my application, or I've been invited for a second interview. Will I be okay? Will my visa be denied or approved? Well, if you had started in February, you would not ask these questions. You know, if you submitted the application like 20 days before your school starts or your job starts or your self-employment starts, whatever, then it's a bit too late. I understand that it's not always like in your hands, like you need to wait for school to deliver some documents and stuff, but generally for student visa and general, for basically all the countries that don't have visa-free stay in the Czech Republic, at least 6 months in advance from the planned date of arrival. So you want to arrive in June, you should submit or you should start working on your application December previous year, and like that. So 6 months if you're from a non-EU country which doesn't have the visa-free stay. If, on the other hand, you have the visa-free stay, which is typically a case of American English teachers, Canadian English teachers, Australian English teachers, New Zealand English teachers, all that kind of teachers, or we've recently had more consultants in different fields like marketing or IT services, all that. But if you have the visa-free stay, in most cases, you also can submit your visa application through any Czech embassy in the world. So you don't have to do it in the country of origin. You can do it anywhere in the world, which makes it way easier because you don't have one option, like one embassy option, and you don't rely on their rules and their capacity, but you can submit your application anywhere in the world. So most people we work with, let's say a typical case is an English teacher from the US, most of our clients come to the Schengen space or the Czech Republic using their 90 days visa-free stay. And then they apply for their visas somewhere here. We usually send clients to Dresden, to Germany, because it's the closest, easiest to reach to. Yeah, there is one update about that, but I will not share it now. I might do another video about that. Or we send them to London, because we also have plenty of British clients, so they can apply in London, which is the country of origin, usually also the country where they are residing at the moment. It's very close to Europe anyway, like the continental Europe, I mean, and the EU. Sorry guys, I had to. Anyway, so they often submit the application there. As an American, Canadian, you could also fly to London and submit the application there, or you could fly to Serbia, submit the application there, depends. In this case, we recommend starting to work with us, if you work with us as an agency, at least a month before your planned arrival to the Czech Republic using the 90 days visa-free stay. If you wanted to apply, let's say in the US, and come to the Czech Republic already having the visa, then it would be similar to what I described before. So at least 6 months in advance, you should start the process. Because even though it will be easier for an American to get a visa than for an Indian, for example, way easier, there are still plenty of steps you need to take, which will take time. So that would be basically the same timeline of half a year in advance. So if you wanted to start teaching in the Czech Republic in September, then you should start your application March the latest. But if you want to come here and start the application from here, which will make it a bit easier, smoother, and faster, then you should start working with us at least a month in advance. Because there are some steps you need to take after your arrival, and if you're not prepared for those steps, you will unnecessarily lose like a month, and then you don't have 90 days to submit your application, but you only have 60 days. And that can be pretty stressful, rushed and everything. So if you have the 90 days visa-free stay, at least a month before your planned arrival using the visa-free stay. Now, the second option is that you apply if you submit your application in the Czech Republic. There are only a couple examples when it's possible, and that's typically the partnership visa, when there is a couple, not married, just dating, of an EU citizen and non-EU citizen. So let's say a Czech girl and American guy, or Czech boy, Indian lady, whatever is the combination, or French girl and I don't know who French girls date, Colombian guy, I don't know. So if there is a combination like that, one EU citizen, one non-EU citizen, you can apply for so-called partnership visa, where you don't need to be married, but you have to be in a serious long-term relationship and you need to be able to prove it. And this application must be submitted in the Czech Republic. So then it depends if you need a short-term visa to get to the Czech Republic to submit the application or not. And you can come using the 90 days visa-free stay, for example. If you can come using the 90 days visa-free stay, that you don't need a short-term visa to get into the Czech Republic, again, you can start roughly 1 to 2 months in advance. For the partnership visa, it might be a bit more complicated to prepare everything. So might be better even like 2 months in advance, but 1 month is doable. And then you just you start working with us, you start collecting the documents, and you come here using the 90 days. And then within the 90 days, we submit the application in the Czech Republic, and then you can stay and do whatever you want. So that's easy. If you need to get a short-term visa first, that might delay the whole process by a couple weeks or a couple months, depending on the country. So there it would be, again, probably something like 3 months before, or maybe at least 2 months before, 2-3 months, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out the timing, because also for the short-term visa, depending on the embassy or the VFS center where you're trying to submit your application, the waiting time can be also pretty long. So it depends on that. But I would say 3 months in advance if you need a short-term visa, and then you will be applying for a partnership visa here. Similar case, you can, for example, submit your blue card application in the Czech Republic if you're currently holding a blue card application in some other EU country. And that's done in the Czech Republic as well. You have to submit it within the first month in the Czech Republic. So I would recommend, again, at least a month before your planned arrival to the Czech Republic. Ideally 2 months, because there are some documents you will need to get on the Czech side. There are some documents you will need to get on your side, like the criminal check from the country of your origin, which might be, for example, India, if you're an Indian blue card holder in Germany, for example. But you also might need a criminal check from Germany. So that might delay the process as well. So blue card in the Czech Republic, probably like 2 months would be ideal. Now, that was the first application. Let me see if there are any questions about the first application and how much in advance. I will answer that, and then I will go to the extension part. Indrajit, hello Jan, great to listen to you again. Thank you for being here. Juliet Balas, so thank you for informing us about Czech. Grace, dobrý večer, Jan, dobrý večer. Looking forward to getting there from the Philippines. We're looking forward to having you here as well. We've had plenty of Filipino clients. Grace Asimba, I'm in the Czech Republic under temporary residence permit and love it. Perfect. Happy to hear that. Duria, hello, I have applied for long-term study visa. Interviews was over. Still didn't get any reply. Our start in 23rd September. What should I do now? That's not exactly related to this topic, but if you search for my video, if you go to my channel and to the live streams recordings, and you search for taking long or like my visa application is taking long, it will show you a video where I talk about this. How long does it take to wait for a work visa? I did another video about that, about how long it takes to get visas approved. So search my channel. Embassy giving passport back, accommodation, everything done. Dobrý den, máte agenturu na pomoc s vízem přítelkyně z Thajska, chceme žádat studentská víza. Dobrý den, Zdeňku, určitě, já mám už v tom popisku videa, už mám link, tak tam vyplňte formulář na tom linku a my se vám ozveme a pomůžeme. Studentská víza děláme poměrně často. Czech warehouse salary, that's not the live stream about that today. Hi Jan, I've been following your content, it's been great help. May I ask if there any chance a trade license holder can hire foreigners and apply working visa here? If yes, quick answer, yes, that's possible, but the live stream is not about that today, so I will not answer it in details. But if you have any questions about that, get in touch. I've already shared the link in the description of the video, so just fill in the form and we'll be happy to explain everything. Čamuky Bazuki tričko dneska, yes, I go to fight later today, so I'm already ready for that. So let's continue with the second part, extensions. Extensions are a bit specific because you are already in the Czech Republic and you're applying for extension, either of a long-term visa, which does not happen too often, to be honest, or switching from a long-term visa to a residence permit, or extending the validity of your residence permit, or changing the purpose of your stay. So, and different applications require different approach. So I will just touch couple topics. Generally speaking, if you're applying for extensions, or if you're switching from a visa to a residence permit, changing the purpose of stay, there is no limit. But for the extensions, you can submit the extension, generally speaking, depending on the type of visa or residence permit you have, but 90 to 120 days in advance. So like 3 or 4 months before your visa or residence permit expires, you can submit the application. The latest is 0 days, which means on the date of the expiration. Of course, given that it's an opening day of the ministry, if it's not, then you're screwed. But if it's an opening day, so it can be 100 days in advance, 90 days in advance, or the very last day of the validity of your current visa or residence permit. How much in advance you should submit the application though, kind of depends on a couple things. One of the important bits is if you want to travel or not, if you need the bridging visa or not. Because if you want the bridging visa, you will only get it in the last month of the validity of your current visa or residence permit. So if you submit your application 4 months in advance, you will not be able to get the bridging visa. Of course, you can get the bridging visa later, within the last month of validity, but you will need to go to the ministry again. So if I would still recommend that, like to apply enough in advance, and if you need a bridging visa, just like go there later and book an appointment for that. But if you are already like if you don't have the full 120 days or 90 days, but you only have like 2 months, maybe it's worth waiting, preparing everything and waiting to submit the application within the last month so you can get the bridging visa on the same day and you don't have to go there again. So that would be one possible detail. Second, if you're switching, if you're changing the purpose of your stay. So for example, you have a student residence permit, you found a job, you want to switch to an employee card. Or if you have whatever type of visa or residence permit, you want to switch to the partnership visa, or like situations like that. I would generally recommend applying as much in advance as possible. Because let's say you have a valid student residence permit that expires in 1 month and you want to switch to an employee card. It is possible, but if you don't apply for extension of the student residence permit and you apply only for the employee card and the employee card is denied, then you have to leave the Czech Republic, and there is nothing anyone can really do about that. So if you, on the other hand, still have like 4 or 5 months left on your residence permit or visa, and you want to switch to something else, it puts you into way more comfortable position, that you know that even if let's say the employee card application was denied, you still have like 2 months left on your student residence permit, and you can extend it. You can make some arrangement to still stay legally in the Czech Republic. So this is kind of tricky, but generally speaking, if you're changing the purpose of your stay, apply as much in advance before the current visa or residency expires as possible. It also kind of depends on what you are trying to extend or what you're applying for, because generally speaking, and the ministry says that they usually, when we speak with them, they usually say, no, 78% of our applications are approved in time, and then it's only like a small, like a student and through the regime or something, So they always try to argue that they're not slow, but with this one, they even admit that they are super slow, and that's extension of the employee card. Because if you are extending your employee card, you can stay here. You can keep working at the same position. There is no problem with that. So generally speaking, this is not the priority of the ministry. So sometimes it can be approved within a month or 2 weeks, because it's a relatively very simple application. So there is not much to check actually. But sometimes it can take 6 months, 8 months before you get this extended. So for the employee card application, for example, I would definitely apply 120 days in advance. Because 2 things here. First, even if you get approved swiftly, say within a month, you still need to go through the biometrics, so the fingerprinting and everything. And usually you get, at least in Prague, it's different in other parts of the Czech Republic, but in Prague, some branches, you have to book the appointment for the biometrics like 1.5 or 2 months in advance. So that's additional 2 months of just waiting for your biometrics. And then after you get the biometrics done, it's another 2 or 3 weeks just to get the card like issued, and you can pick it up. So even after you get approved, you still need to wait 2 to 3 months to actually get the card. So even if you apply 4 months in advance and it's approved after 1 month, by the time it expires, you might just be getting the new card. So from this perspective, definitely better to apply enough in advance. Another thing is that if you apply on the last day, let's say you're extending an employee card. So you have employee card for 2 years, you're extending it for another 2 years. If you apply on the last day, then the approval process takes 3 months, then another 3 months for the biometrics and everything. You will not get the new employee card for full 2 years. You will get it for 2 years from when the previous one expired. So instead of getting the new employee card extended for 2 years, you will only get it extended for 1.5 years, for example. So you will need to go through the renewal process way sooner than you could have. So also from this perspective, I would definitely recommend applying as much in advance as possible. Generally speaking, also, whatever type of application it is, you need to count with at least a month to prepare everything. In some cases, for example, a business residence permit, I would count with 2 months, because there is way more paperwork you need to get, and there is also a lot of problems people usually face with their income or debts with the social security, healthcare, all that. For an employee card, you can have everything ready in a week for employee card extension, I mean. So it depends, but generally at least a month will take you to collect all the documents, and maybe to get an appointment at the ministry if you want to go there in person, or if you have to go there in person. So if you want to submit the application, say 4 months before your employee card expires, start working on the application at least 5 months before it expires. You will have enough time to collect the documents. You will have enough time to book an appointment with the ministry, submit the application. You will not be stressed. We will not be stressed if you use our services. Everyone will be happy. It will be smooth. Ministry will be happy as well that they don't have to, that you submitted the application in time, complete. Everyone will be happy. And we'll be happy if you decide to use our services. So if you have, or even if you have any questions, if you want to ask about something, you're not sure about something, I've already shared a link in the description of the video, where you can fill in a form, ask any questions. Just guys, if you fill in the form, please be as specific as you can, because if you just say employee card extension, we then have to exchange like 5 emails before we even figure out what exactly you are trying to like get information about or help with. On the other hand, if you tell us in the first form, hey, I've been here since 2018, I've already extended my employee card twice, and now my employee card is expiring in 3 months, I would like to know how much you charge for your help with the extension, then I can immediately, like in one email, answer all your questions, and that's the easiest way to go. So we'll be happy if you fill in the form, even like with some simple information, but if you can add more, that will definitely make the communication faster and more efficient for both sides. So that's it. Let me see if there are some questions regarding this topic now, and if yes, I'll answer them. If not, then I'll go fight. Juliet Balas, also, can I use my driver's license for Philippines when I get there in Czech? I've done another video about driver's license. So Juliet, you have good questions. Just go to my channel. I don't know where you find anything you can click on here on the live stream. Just go to my channel, search for driver's license, and it will find you a video where I talk about this topic. I've basically covered all the topics there are. So I hope there are some immigration news I can share always, because I've covered all the topics 3 times already. Grace Asimba, thanks for your information. My pleasure. And Engineer Liban, hello, I'm Liban from Somalia. One of our students, their application was granted, but mine is still under process, but the embassy, the consul have left the job and not replacement for his position. I tried to call the embassy today, but said, don't call us, what you want to have email, this is disaster. Well, yeah, unfortunately, things like this happen. Embassies close, they suspend their operation for some time, and you are the ones dealing with the consequences. Unfortunately, that's how it is. Barkin, hello from Turkey. I had visa interrogation, application, university. Deadline is next week, Friday. That's not really connected to this. Did you know how many days after the interview we're going to receive the decision? That's not the question here. Boxing or MMA, that's like a self-defense training. Neither like boxing nor MMA. It's like a combination of everything for self-defense. Joy, thank you so much. Blah, 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 blah. Videos about. Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining. And I'll be on live again, as you know, Thursday, Monday, until the end of the world. Good night.